What's up, everyone? This is Dan D'Ambrosio from Next Toronto, your web developer, WordPress, and search engine expert. This is my first video. Hopefully, it's going to be the first of many. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out through my website at www.nextoronto.com. You can hit me up on Twitter at NextToronto, or feel free to email me at info@nextoronto.com. This is my first video, so it's just probably going to be a ramble fest, but I promise that future videos are going to be a lot better. Hopefully I have like some special effects kind of like coming into the screen, kind of explaining things a little bit better, more visual. But for today's video, it's going to be my mug on my website talking to you and just giving you guys some simple tips and advice that can improve your website. Today when I got up, I was having a coffee and I found a catalog on the kitchen table which had just home improvement companies. So I thought it was a good idea that I'm going to go through this catalog and go through all the domains that were in the ads. And if any of these websites had any sort of deficiencies or websites needed improvement, then I was going to email those companies and let them know, hey, you know what, I was on your website and you might want to look after this issue. 80% of those companies, they had all their bases covered. 20%, whoa, now they had some issues. They had some glaring issues. And funny enough, two of them didn't even have, they had domains in their ads, but they didn't even have websites for those domains. And one of those companies actually called me back and they're like, yeah, you know what, we are interested in getting a website. But why would you even bother putting your domain in an ad if you don't even have a website? Like, that made no sense to me. In fact, I don't even understand why 20% of these companies would bother spending money on print advertising when their website's not even working as it should. So rather than wasting money on print advertising, because I'll tell you what people do when they get these catalogs or flyers in their mail. I'll tell you what I do actually is when I get these flyers, I put them in the blue box that's located next to the mailbox outside, and I'll just walk inside with my bills that I need to pay. People, it's 2017, okay? When people are looking for websites, they're using their mobile device, or they're going on Google and they're typing in the service and the location. So for instance, you need a painter. Painters in Toronto, painters in Ottawa. People are they're geo-targeting they're geo-targeting their searches. Okay, so let's get on with it. So here's 5 things that a lot of these companies were missing, or 5 things that could boost your online presence. Number 1, have a website that is mobile friendly. Okay, now it blows my mind that a lot of these large businesses still don't have mobile friendly websites. Okay, now in 2017, statistically, mobile search has surpassed desktop, and not to mention 3/4 of searches that take place, of 3/4 of local search are done on a mobile device. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, if you have a WordPress website, the solution could sometimes be a little bit simpler. You can just install a new theme that is mobile friendly. You might have to, play around with the settings, but just by installing a new theme might actually solve that mobile responsive issue. If you don't know whether your site is mobile friendly, then what you can do is just pick up your device, 'cause chances are you do have some sort of smartphone, and punch in your website and see how it displays. Number 2, is your website search engine friendly? Okay, chances are you probably don't even know. You might be a company that was sold a website and the guy told you, oh yeah, it's search engine friendly, because it's so SEO is so taboo that most people don't even know whether they received a website that was optimized for search. Okay, and what I mean by optimized, I mean just like the basic stuff. I mean, there's literally hundreds of factors that make up search engine optimization. But some basic ones would be, making sure that the title tags are set up properly on your website. Like if you were to go to my website, like you can see right now on the screen, and you kind of just mouse over the tab here, you'll see that, there's a descriptive title tag, right? And if you're targeting certain keywords that you want to show up for, are they used in your content? So if you're a chiropractor in Toronto, you want to make sure that you have the words chiropractor in Toronto on your website if you want to show up for that when people are searching for chiropractor in Toronto in Google, right? Number 3, page speed. Okay, I don't know about you, when I go to a website that takes 20 seconds to load, I bounce. I take off. And that's why you have a metric called bounce rate. And bounce rate, which you can get through your Google Analytics, is basically the percentage of people that actually visited a web page and then left that web page. So if your bounce rate is under 50%, yeah, that's all right. That's good. That's pretty healthy, normal. If it's above 50%, you might want to look at your website and find out why people are bouncing so quickly. All right, and page speed can not only affect your bounce rate, it can affect the leads, sales, and conversions on your website, and it can also affect your search engine ranking. So if you want to address your page speed, a few tips: you're going to want to optimize the images that are used on your website. So if you have very large images, chances are that's going to slow down your page loading. There's some great plugins that you can install if you have a WordPress website. W3 Total Cache, Super Cache, WP Rocket. If you install and configure these plugins, you can actually increase your page speed by a couple seconds, which I've done in the past for some of my clients. And 1 second of page speed can make a huge difference, okay, in terms of bounce rate, in terms of, conversions on your website, and so on. Number 3, SSL. Okay, so in 2017, in fact, this month alone, if you don't have an SSL certificate on your website, so I mean, if you were to look at my site right now on the screen, it says secure because I have an SSL certificate installed. If you do not have an SSL certificate installed, you're probably going to display an error now in Google, especially if you have like forms. So it's very important to get your SSL certificate installed. You can just call up your hosting company and they'll do it for you. There's even free ways and free services out there that you can get an SSL certificate running on your website. Now, it's not just about installing the SSL certificate. You're going to need a web developer like myself to go in there and make sure that all the links and all the images are not referencing, they're all secured. So they're not referencing just HTTP. They're actually HTTPS for secure, okay? You just got to make sure that your internal linking is actually updated, and once that's complete, then you'll definitely display this nice little green secure in the top left corner of your browser. Number, what are we on here? 1, 2, 3, 4. AMP setup. Number 5, AMP setup. Okay, accelerated mobile pages. This one's one that probably goes over right over most web developers' heads because it's fairly new, and it's not that complicated either. I mean, there's already, if you have a WordPress website, all you got to do is install a couple plugins, configure it, and Shazam, you're set up for AMP. Now, what AMP is a way of displaying your website or your website posts on mobile devices instantaneously. So it gets rid of all the stuff that, like the large images that slow down loading time. And you'll find that a lot of large news agencies are now running AMP. So when you look at these websites on a mobile device, you look at their news, you'll notice that it displays instantaneously, and it's been known that a lot of these AMP websites or web pages that are optimized in AMP are actually ranking ahead of websites that don't have AMP installed. So might be something that you might want to look into for your website if you have a blog installed. I think that's it for today. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out through my website at www.nextoronto.com. If this was fucking boring, I'm really sorry. I promise I'll put together some better videos in the future. Have a great day. Bye.